in office around March 1st. Now, the office assignments come from the majority, and I'm in the minority, and so I'm a freshman minority member, and they took their good time making enough offices available. While I was there, I realized just down the hall was Bill Parment's old office. And Bill Parment was in a leadership position, so he had a suite of offices, and they were all empty. So once we discovered that, I had one of the maintenance staff unlock his suite, and we made it available for all the freshmen Republican whenever we had visitors from our district come up to talk with us. We had a place to meet with them.
A big, spacious office, showing
how
important you were.
And in fact, the people from Chautauqua County recognized it as Bill Parment's office. But now I have my own office. It's a small office, but it works well.
Okay, we got a phone call. Somebody's going to rattle you. You want to take any of these rotten phone calls?
I'm happy to take the phone calls.
It gives you a chance to explain yourself.
It would be nice, though, if the caller lets me answer the question.
Well, I know it's tough in this business. You know, everybody wants to talk.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Hi. I understand, Andy, that you have a bill that's going to get rid of seniority rights for teachers. And I wanted you to comment on that.
Well, first of all, I don't have a bill that gets rid of seniority rights for teachers, but let me be clear exactly what my bill does. I am proposing a bill that would put the needs of the school districts and the qualifications of teachers first and foremost in making a decision on layoffs. And right now,
we're going to have layoffs.
It's likely we're going to have layoffs because we're trying to cut back on the costs. State aid was reduced this year. A lot of schools are facing declining enrollments. And so there's a lot of talk about layoffs. And obviously my first objective as an assemblyman was to minimize layoffs. And the budget that I voted on added about $270 million in additional state aid over the governor's budget. But even with that addition, there's significant cuts in state aid. Under current law, when there's a layoff, it's done strictly by seniority. It's called LIFO, last in, first out. And as a result, if there's a layoff in a school under current law, every one of the newer teachers is laid off first, regardless of how good they are, regardless of their qualifications, regardless of what the school needs are. And so I proposed a bill that would adjust seniority. Seniority would still be a factor, but would make it clear that layoff decisions should be made by the school board, and there are elected officials. They're the ones that we elect to run the school. The school board would have the power to make layoff decisions based on the student or the teacher's performance, qualifications, and the particular needs of the school. And so they would do a careful analysis of what the school needs, what they have to provide the best education possible for the students, and how that fits with the students and the teachers that are available. Now, there's 5 criteria that this bill would require the school to look at. 1 criteria they would not be allowed to look at.
Tenure.
The tenure is separate because we're dealing with layoffs that might involve tenured. I mean, you might have layoffs where everyone being laid off is tenured. So this just deals with how do you make sure that you put the students' needs first, the school needs first in making a layoff decision. And my bill recommends that the decision be made first based on professional performance evaluations, second on the special educational abilities, the licenses, the experience of the teacher. Third, the performance of the teacher is measured by recommendations, student performance, things of that nature. I specifically mentioned that the decision should consider the experience of the teacher, which includes how long they've been there, and their length of service is specifically mentioned. What I say you shouldn't be looking at is a teacher's salary, because I don't want this to be used as a means of just firing or laying off the highest paid teachers. Once a school board makes an evaluation of how to put the needs of the school and the children first, and makes a layoff decision based on performance and qualifications and the needs of the school. If a teacher is laid off, they're then put on a preferred eligible list, which means as soon as there's an opening available, as soon as there's an opportunity to hire someone back, that teacher would then come back on in the same level, the same salary as they left. So again, it's really trying to address the problem that we have right now under the current law, where all the newer teachers are laid off first without any consideration of qualifications or performance or the needs of the school, and instead of just making an arbitrary decision based on hiring date, instead of doing that, focusing on the needs of the school, the performance of the teachers, and trying to put the education of our children first and foremost in a situation where we might have a layoff.
Thank you, Andy. A caller, any comment?
Well, when's the last time you were in a school district to discuss this with teachers and administration in Chautauqua County? Have you been to any?
Yes, actually. I met with a large group of teachers probably about a month ago. That group of teachers expressed great frustration, at least some of them did, about the fact that the layoffs were being made arbitrarily based on solely on hiring date without any consideration of qualifications and performance and the needs of the school. I've met 2 or 3 times with school board administrators and school board members, and they spoke of their frustration over their lack of authority. And so I'm very supportive of giving more authority to the school board, all of whom are elected by the residents of the school district. And this bill would give the local school board more authority. So indeed, I've met with the School Boards Association a couple times, the school principals or the superintendents, and a lot of teachers as well.
Okay.
It sounds like the superintendent would have a lot of power in making this decision and taking some decisions out of the teachers' hands. It sounds like the school board and the superintendent in the school where I work really don't know what's going down on the ground level. And I really don't like the fact that maybe on test scores, you would base it on test scores and other things. When we have students, I've had students who have been absent 40 days this year. I mean, I've had a number of students, a number of issues that aren't just school issues. They're parental issues too. So, I mean, I don't know how you fairly judge that.
Well, you
got to trust the school board.
Yeah, the decision,
they couldn't
by
use
the way,
this to axe anybody they don't like. They could meet in executive session and talk it over among themselves and say, yeah, we found you were incompetent, out.
Yeah, it's important to recognize that this bill would have the decision being made by the school board. Now, the school board is elected by the residents. They're elected by the neighbors, and they're elected by the teachers and by the parents. And my experience is that school board members are really focused on trying to provide the very best education possible to the students. My experience is that school boards have a great deal of respect for the teachers. My experience has been that the teachers often have a great deal of influence on the election of school board members. So it's not just a decision made by the school superintendent, although clearly he would make a recommendation or she would make a recommendation. It's made by the school board that's independently elected by all the residents and charged with the responsibility of putting the students and the educational system first. Now, my bill does acknowledge the importance of test scores. And if you have a teacher whose students are not performing well year after year, maybe that's not the best teacher to have there, particularly if fellow teachers that are doing the same type of education are doing much better. We can't just close our eyes and say we don't care how well our students are doing. After all, the purpose of our schools is to teach our students, and one measure of how well the students are doing is certainly test scores. But my bill goes further than that and recognizes that test scores are only part of the equation. There's a complicated and comprehensive professional teacher evaluation process that's contained in the current law. That's the first criteria. We also look at teachers' educational qualifications and any special licenses or certifications. We recognize that different schools have different needs. There's a difference between a choral director, for example, and a band director. There are special programs that require special teaching and special licenses and certifications. So we look at that as well. It doesn't make sense to me that if the school district has a special need for a certain type of teacher, whether it's a higher level math teacher or an elementary teacher, but if they have a special need, that you should lay off the teacher that's best qualified for that position simply because they happen to be hired later than somebody else.
Okay, caller, final word?
Well, it just sounds like if I wanted to speak up and talk to administration in meetings and other things, I might think twice about it because they could just really look at my opinions and maybe not, I don't know, just take retribution on me, it sounds like. You know, if I have opinions that are against their opinions,
right,
but it sounds like the superintendent would have a lot of power, and I don't know, it really concerns me.
Well,
I'm not real happy about this bill.
It's a case of breaking your tenure in a way. Because again, the superintendent he's all powerful. Andy, I have watched school boards and been on them and everything for many years. And when the superintendent speaks, the school board usually follows his advice. It's very rare for them to go against him. And if the superintendent decides to act somebody like this guy now, if they can figure out who he is, he's gone.
It's true.
Thank you, caller.
Again, the question is, under the current system, the only issue on a layoff is when you were hired. And you could be the best teacher, you could be the only one qualified that's doing a particular job, and under the current system, the only issue is when were you hired? And the decision is made blindly, without considering the needs of the school, the qualifications of the teacher, the performance of the teacher, and I don't think that's the best way we can go. I think we can do better than that. And I think we should do better than that.
Okay, thank you,
How about
Andy.
evaluating administrators?
That's another call. You've got to call in again for that one. Thank you, caller. Have a great day. You say this is your bill. They keep saying your bill. Did you introduce this?
I am introducing this bill, yes. And,
Okay.
And the bill, as I mentioned, Reed, the bill is designed to make sure that we put
Right. You
the
mentioned
children's interests first and focus on merit.
Right. Again.
Rather than age.
Again, we got another call. We've got two more calls. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I'm having a big dilemma because I don't understand this, and I'm hoping that perhaps your guest can help me with this. It concerns the statement by the governor and other politicians that under no circumstances could we supposedly raise taxes on the rich to cover some of the unbalanced budget that we have.
They did not only not raise them, they lowered them.
Well, I want to get to this, though. This is important because I just don't understand it. According to my going back and studying what actually happened in Mr. Clinton's presidency, we ended up with a surplus of money rather than a deficit. So under President Bush's presidency, when he first came in, they discovered that there was this, they didn't discover, it was common fact.
Well, on with it here, caller. We got two more waiting.
Okay, that
Your question.
that the budget had all this extra money. So they gave the peons, that's us, a stipend of money, and then came the big deal. The rich people got a huge amount of money to help distribute this.
Question, caller. You're making a statement, please.
This is part. I'm trying to get the background in here. I'm going as fast as I can. Anyways, my question is, why is it considered a raise in their taxes when actually that money that they have been receiving, which is gone, long gone, was supposed to come out of the surplus that was left in the Treasury. And now it's not coming out of any surplus. It's our money that does that. So in what way can it be said that by stopping giving that money that we would be somehow doing something wrong? I just don't understand.
Yeah, Andy, you're on.
I'm not entirely sure I understand.